That being said, yes, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and some of the experimentation I've done personally. Metamucil, is it really good for lowering cholesterol, or does it just help you take a good dump? Well, we're going to talk about it. And I'm here to tell you the short answer is both, but let's get into it. Well, here's the thing. There's no question if you have trouble going to the bathroom that Metamucil is going to help you. Now, keep in mind, it's a solid forming fiber, which most people understand. It's not going to give you the runs, not going to give you the shits. It's actually just going to help you be regular on the toilet, but it's going to give you a nice solid dump, if you will. So that being said, yes, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and some of the experimentation I've done personally to help me understand how it works. But right now, let's talk about some of the facts. So it's basically psyllium husk, and it's recognized by the FDA. It's, what is it called? It's a soluble fiber, and it's recognized by the FDA as an actual lowering LDL. See, cholesterol, there's HDL and LDL. So for people that don't understand, let's break that down. LDL, lousy. That's the lousy cholesterol, the bad one. HDL is the happy cholesterol. So it is actually approved by the FDA for lowering the LDL. So ultimately, yes, it's point blank. It does do the trick. Is it noticeable on a blood test? It can be, but here's the thing. There's no such thing as a magic pill or magic potion. No such thing as magic Metamucil. You've got to use it regularly. Consistency is probably one of the most underlying, foundational parts of health that there is. You can't do something a few times and expect that it's going to work for your health. So when it comes down to it, you need to use Metamucil once a day. I would recommend doing it before bed. The reason is because it's a fiber. It's going to go down into your stomach, and it's going to, you could make you feel a little bloated, but if you have it at night before bed, you'll sleep right through it. You won't know the difference. Now, there's some other really interesting parts about Metamucil that's besides lowering cholesterol. So that fiber, the psyllium husk, basically goes down into your stomach. And what it does, I'm going to kind of make this, I'm going to jump away from the science. I'm going to make this really, really simple to understand without getting too complex. Basically, what it does is that fiber, that type of fiber, the psyllium husk, goes down into your stomach, and it basically binds and attaches to basically the digestive juices that have started to wear out. Your body's kind of a hoarder. It'll hold those digestive juices longer than it should, and they're really not very potent. Well, that fiber will bind to them, attach to them, and drag them out of there. You'll crap them out. Then your body will basically go, wait a minute, I'm low on digestive head count, and it will produce new digestive enzymes. So by using Metamucil regularly, and this is something I often will do with clients of mine, if I feel like their stomach is really, really not working well with their enzymes are way behind, I'll have them use the Metamucil. Obviously, it's helpful for cholesterol, but also really helpful to replenish your digestive power. So over the course of, say, a 6-month period, if you're using it every day, you will lower your cholesterol and you will improve your digestive power, if you will. So 2 really, really cool elements about Metamucil. Now, I recommend the sugar-free Metamucil. The psyllium husk, you get that unflavored, and it's nasty to get down. I have a hard time with it, and I'm pretty good at doing shit most people won't do. So I use the sugar-free Metamucil. I use the orange flavor, sugar-free. I don't want to have the sugar, and it's really, really helpful. So now, again, you got to do it regularly. I recommend doing it before bed. And if you can commit to something like this daily for, say, 6 months, there's no question you will see a difference. You see a difference probably in a few things. You'll see a difference in your cholesterol. You'll see a difference in digestion. You'll see a difference in probably even the regularity. I shouldn't say probably. You'll see the difference in the regularity of your craps, your BMs. So yes, the stuff works. So you want to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water with it. It's going to work better when you're drinking plenty of water, but let's be honest, you need to be drinking plenty of water anyway. So if you're not drinking water and this is the catalyst to have you drink water, perfect. But just remember, if you're going to do this, drinking water is going to make it work that much better. Now, here's the interesting part about it. And this is what I'm telling you about my own personal tests. So what happens is this stuff, you need to use Metamucil away from your food. You don't want to take it with a meal. And here's why. Because it will basically kind of surround or coat your food and it will scoot right through your system and your system won't be able to get the nutrients out. Now, I personally did a test on this. So for a whole day, I basically had a half a serving of Metamucil. I had 6 times that day. So I had 3 servings. It was a lot of Metamucil, but I only ate chicken breast. That was it. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to see if I was crapping out chicken breast. I know this is nasty, but it was amazing, the results. So it wasn't long. I started eating chicken breast and drinking, a glass of Metamucil with a half a serving in it with my chicken breast. And obviously, once my metabolism moves pretty quickly, once this stuff started coming through, it was unmistakable. You were seeing literally the orange. It was slightly tinted, obviously brown, but you could literally see the chunks of chicken, white chicken, coming through. So my body was not getting the nutrient. And here's another interesting thing. Later in the day, I was getting even though I felt full, I was getting alarmingly hungry because my body wasn't able to actually get the nutrient value out of the chicken breast I was eating. Now, granted, I probably would have felt a little hungry because if you're only eating chicken breast, you're going to feel a little bit hungry, but it was far more than it should have been. So you really need to be careful about making sure that you're taking your Metamucil at least 45 minutes before or after when you eat. Otherwise, what you eat is going to go to waste. You're not going to get the nutrient value out of what you're eating. So keep that in mind. Really, really important. You're doing this to improve your health, not to actually become malnourished because your body can't get, if you're only eating 1 or 2 times a day and you're drinking a glass of Metamucil with your food or taking that Metamucil directly after you eat, you're basically going to be taking the majority of your nutrients and it's going to be passing straight through, which is not going to give you what you need. Now, let's talk about if you choose to use it, if you're like, you know what, I'm sold, I want to do it. Let's talk about some fun ways to make it work in your diets that actually will taste pretty good. So what I do is I take the Metamucil, right? Because ultimately, if you mix it up and you don't have enough water, it'll basically turn into a Jello. So here's what you do. Take a serving of Metamucil. You're going to have to kind of figure out how much liquid you put into it. If you want it to be, really, really solid, you're going to put less liquid. If you want it to be a little looser, you'll put more. But what I do, I don't put water. I put coconut milk in there. And then usually I'll put like a Splenda or I'll put some sort of like a vanilla sugar-free syrup. And it literally ends up tasting like an orange cream, I guess you'd say pudding, if you will. So you can literally take this Metamucil and you can turn it into an orange flavored treat, if you will. Now, granted, I know it might sound a little weird, might sound a little nasty, but if you're going to be taking this stuff anyway, you might as well make it taste good. And the clients that I've suggested this with were all very surprised at how good it tasted. So if you can improve your health, improve your digestion, improve, your regularity on the toilet, and you get to have a treat just before bed. Now, granted, it's a little thin when I say treat. I know that. But if you can have something that tastes good enough that you look forward to having it every night, that is a really, really good way to make sure that you are consistent with the use of this stuff. That's how I do it. I don't use it all the time. I'll use it in spurts, but when I do use it, I'm going to do something along these lines to make it taste really good. So Metamucil, does it work? Absolutely, it does on multiple levels. So remember, if you're going to use it, the key is you've got to use it consistently and you've got to use it at least 45 minutes away from anything you're eating. So that being said, if you were curious about Metamucil and should you do it and why should you do it, now you know. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking it out. See you next time.